I don't think robot plumbers are coming to take your business.
Exactly, yeah.
But brother, I think that about most things.
Yeah.
This is why I want 20 hours of AI. Think about how you asked the question and how I changed it. You said interfere, and I jumped in naturally and said enhance. You're thinking fucking Terminator 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm thinking you're wasting money on your advertising that AI can make better. So you're going super macro fantasy land, and I'm going to, I want you to make more money in 2024.
Gary, I want to start with one very simple question, but I think you're the best person in the world to answer this question. You are probably the highest authority in the world when it comes to branding. You've worked with the top brands in the world, Pepsi, TikTok. You know how these people operate. And right now, consumer spending, when you look at how much money consumers spend in their homes versus food and beverage, it's around the same. But we still don't have that Coca-Cola brand or that Nike brand in home services. What can you teach? These people in the room are the top people in home services. They got the money, they got the budget, they got the operational capability. What can you teach these folks about branding to take their companies from a few billion in revenue to that household brand that's generational, that lasts for hundreds of years like Coca-Cola and Nike?
First of all, it's so nice to be with all of you. I hope everybody's super well, had a great summer. Hope you're enjoying this. Look, I think right off the bat, you can't do it the same way, and nor should you. There's a very big difference between products like Coke and Nike and fast consumable items that you're buying 600 times a year, 300 times a year, 50 times a year, and have an average cost of $400 to $200 versus what everyone here does incredibly well. So I think in general, there's enormous amounts of difference in price point, in how often you do it, and what we're talking about. On the flip side, in every B2B, in every B2C of higher cost items or luxury, there's always opportunity for brand. To me, what's running through my mind is a little bit different. When I look at this industry from afar, or at times when I'm up close to it in helping private equity firms analyze things, or if I'm investing in firms that are investing at a high level in this category, I think the thing that this group in general might find interest in is the concept of if you're actually a sales organization, understanding the concept of brand and content and marketing as the best sales engine. I think that there's a misconception between sales and marketing's relationship that I'm always fascinated about at the highest levels. Sales is so black and white effective and so measurable that it's much more comfortable for a lot of us in this room. Marketing is it's like love. It's a different emotion. It's like fandom. I'm a very big, diehard New York Jets fan. I was there last night. I'm devastated right now, right? Because Aaron Rodgers is out for the year now, and I have been in a slumber all day. Like, I'm barely pulling this off. I hit up my speaking team and said, can I cancel today? This is real. This is real. How can that be possible? That's so silly. It's football, but it's very possible because I've watched every game since I was 7, all of them. It's 40 years. It's my religion. I have emotion towards it. And I genuinely, actually, no baloney, called last night and this morning and asked if I could not be here today. And that's not an indication to y'all or you or ever. That's how sad I was for something as silly as a football game. But that football for me has crossed over into a different place. That's called brand. To me, the thing that needs to be debated here is understanding if you were to build a brand in a B2B or B2C environment, how that allows people to make potentially irrational decisions because they're making emotional decisions. That's why brand is so interesting to me. People would be fascinated why they're wearing the clothes or jewelry that they're wearing right now without fully realizing how much that's expressing the brand of who they are to the world, including facial hair, haircut. Like, when I look around this room, I pay attention to what people have decided to do. The beards, some of the beards that showed up here today. I see you too. But it's interesting, that's a level of communication That's telling people a little bit about yourself. We all do it different. I promise you, 47-year-old businessmen that had the level of success that I have today, 25 years ago, weren't wearing ball caps and sneakers. Things change. Expression changes. And so I think for everyone here, listen, I'm a salesman, right? Like, that's what I've been doing my whole life. But I promise you, sales DNA executives, salespeople that disrespect marketing and branding are leaving money on the table. And that interests me, and that's exciting.
That's awesome, man. And I want to cover a lot of big topics, and that was awesome. I want to talk a little bit about AI and what's coming and what's here. First, can you talk a little bit about the most fascinating use cases that you've seen for AI in sales and marketing?
For sales and marketing, we'll get into in a minute, but I think first of all, the thing with AI that's so interesting, and when I look around this room, there's some youngsters, but there's some people that have put some years into their career, and I'd like to make this statement first. Please don't do with AI what you did with social media and what you did with the internet and what you did with the smartphone. For some of the youngsters in here, there's a lot of people in here who said they would never give up their BlackBerry for the iPhone because they needed the buttons on the BlackBerry, but they did. Or even getting a cell phone in the first place because their beeper and pager was more than enough, and if someone wants to get a hold of me, they can page me and I'll call them when I want to. Or not having a website, or not doing email, or not setting up a Facebook. So first and foremost, let's not demonize another new technology because you read some headline that it was going to take your job. Let our grandkids worry about the robots killing them. For us, we need to figure out how to navigate this next generation or two. So first of all, AI is enormous. What is it going to do? For a lot of salespeople here, it's going to take care of a lot of the mundane work that they pay people to do or they do themselves, and it's going to make it a lot easier. For a lot of us, when we used to have to look up information, we literally had to get up physically, find the yellow pages wherever we put it, grab it, open it, get to the page and find it. Then Google came out, and Yahoo came out, and search engines came out, and that became a 13-second task instead of a 4-minute and 19-second task. And for a lot of us, times 1,000 times in a year, that adds up to time and efficiency. AI for a lot of salespeople here is going to automate emails, is going to create lists, is going to do the CRM work. There's a ton of stuff that AI is going to do. And so I think for everyone here, again, actually, here's a good question. How many people here are retiring in the next 10 years? Real quick, before you raise your hands, and please do if you are. Hold on. And I don't mean you're going to crush it and buy a yacht. I mean you're old and you're finished. Raise your hands real quick. Next 10 years retiring? 2, respect. 3, good. 3 people. Let's even say 7. For the rest of us, in 10 years, as we are still working, AI will be profound. If you decide to be an ostrich and put your head in the sand and not worry about it, instead of spending 20 hours of your own research time on the internet, instead of headline reading a couple things and saying it's good, bad, or indifferent, to not allocate at this level, who's in this room. If you're in this room, you've done things. It is what it is. For you not to spend 20 hours, an hour here, maybe on a vacation day during the holidays, 5 hours, to not spend 20 hours to actually understand what's going on in AI would be grossly negligent professionally, and I highly encourage you to pour a beer or a glass of wine or a cocktail or do it this holiday season. Find the 20 hours before 2024 starts to actually know what you're talking about, because I think we can all agree with technology, much like a lot of things in life, we become headline readers and we make our decisions based on a couple headlines without actually knowing what we're talking about. And for everybody here, AI will be incredibly impactful for the rest of your lives.
That's awesome. And I just have 2 more questions.
Please.
The second to last question that I have, and I want people to start asking questions afterwards, so don't be shy. So AI, I run a tech company, and one of the most fascinating things that I've seen is that AI has actually made engineers 10x faster, right?
Of course.
And you've probably seen it where, like, the iPhone, it came out, and it was like 3 years before we had the cameras and the App Store, right? And now GPT 3.5 comes out, and then 3 months later we have GPT 4.
Well, because that was hardware,
right?
Which is different than software, and you know this. I've seen people who aren't engineers present me full apps because they've used AI to build the entire app without knowing how to code. I'm telling you, please, if you remember anything, we're gonna hang here, you got a concert tonight, you're gonna live your life this week. Some of your football seasons are still alive, so you're gonna enjoy Sunday. You're gonna live your lives. If you remember anything from this talk, and we're gonna do Q&A, please ask your specific questions. I'm here for it. I'm glad I came out. But if you remember anything, 20 hours of real homework on AI, it will really be impactful. Of course, go ahead.
So what I was gonna ask, it's basically not only happening, but it's happening at a faster rate than other technology shifts that we've seen in history. Correct. It's happening really fast. How do you coach your employees in your companies to take those 20 hours to be on top of that change?
Nobody here can coach shit if they don't know anything about it. This is why I need your 20 hours. I can't answer the coach thing. You don't even know what we're talking about. It's like anything. It's like when I laugh when 25-year-olds try to tell you about life. Why don't you live it and then I'll listen? So I think to coach on, again, for the majority of people here, in the context that we're talking, in the professions that you're in, all that we're talking about with AI is saving time, but at a level that is profound. If you just think about back to who I'm really talking in this room to, the last 20 years of technology, if you think about what email has done for letter writing and faxing, if you think what search has done for information instead of the encyclopedia, the library, or the yellow pages. If you think about the elimination of friction that websites have done from time going to the store and buying stuff, all we're talking about is time. Even if you think about farming, 150 years ago, 80% of us worked on a farm, and then technology came along and made a tractor, and that saved time so we could go do other stuff. We're demonizing AI in the headline reading. All it's going to do is make everything faster, more efficient, to allow us to have more capacity to be creative, spend time with our families, make more hand-to-hand combat stuff. It's going to free you up. And so, I think before I worry about them coaching their employees, I need them to understand it.
Yeah. So spend your time learning about AI, guys. Just go on ChatGPT and start asking questions like, "How do you feel today?" And you'll get far with that. So just do that.
It's funny the way you said that. I want everybody to hear this. It really is that simple. If anybody's been through a journey of getting into better physical health, if you've never worked out and you haven't eaten well, that first workout is a disaster. I did it at 38. You can't do shit. My 8 push-ups were a disaster. The treadmill was a disaster. When I think back to that workout 10 years ago, I'm like, my God. But I had to start there to be able to do things I'm doing today. If you've never, ever interacted with an AI bot, your first queries, the first time you use it, it's going to be a little clunky. It's like riding a bike. You needed training wheels. The first time you tried to swim, you almost died. It's just your first kiss was not phenomenal, I promise you. And so same here. You've got to really, really, really just start, and you can't be scared of it. What's going to happen? Who's going to make fun of you? Do it in the privacy of your own home, but start figuring it out.
That's awesome. Last question for me, and then I want people to start asking questions. Will AI replace us or make us bionic? What use cases are you seeing there?
Look, the dinosaurs used to rule shit. I never say never to anything. Do I believe anybody here in their lifetime will face a world where robots replace us? No, I do not. Do I think anyone here who has children or grandchildren that they will face that? I do not. We're too far along, no matter how fast it's moving. But I don't know, when I'm chilling in heaven in 900 years, I'm going to be happy that I didn't answer you definitively no, because you know what I mean. Like there may be a time, but we're just so far away from that kind of sci-fi reality. At the same token, I think we can all agree a lot. I'm going to say this nice and slow. A lot has changed in the last 25 years, technology-wise, socially too, and lots of things. But my gosh. I am 47 years old. I think of myself, and at halftime, I got another 47 to go. I lived my entire childhood through high school without ever being on a computer, besides school when they made me, right? I did not have the internet my entire childhood. So this is all moving, there's a lot going on. So I think this is why I did the 10 years, raise your hand. I really desperately, when I look at a room like this is where I have a lot of passion when I come and speak. What am I trying to accomplish? I'm trying to provide value. When I look around this room and I think about all the winning that is going on, this is a successful group. And I say to myself, if they don't pay attention and understand how important and profound this technology is, that's going to leave opportunity on the table for them, and it's going to leave opportunity for others on the table to potentially, and so it just seems like a very big missed opportunity. It's not going to put you out of business, you're not going to, but it's kind of like when I consult on businesses, I'll push them on social media or this or whatever the best, tips are of the day, and if I push a little too hard, or if they're super not into what I'm saying, they're like, Gary, I get it. You want me to do all this stuff, but I'm doing $16 million a year in my company. And I'm like, John, what's wrong with 32? And that's what the convo we're having here right now. It's not like life or death, but let there be no confusion. It's happening right now. And in 2 years, and 4, and 6, in my world that I'm very passionate about, which is communication, 5 years, how many people here follow me a little bit or somewhat? Thank you. So, and how many people here have followed me for more than 4 years? So for the people that just raised their hands, you all know 4 or 5 years ago, I'm yelling, screaming TikTok, and nobody's listening. Everybody was chilling in Instagram, if at all. And then TikTok happens, and a lot of people regret not going hard when I yelled about it 4 or 5 years ago, not because they're out of business, but because they left a lot of money, opportunity, happiness, maybe a change of career or building something around it. There was just a land grab of opportunity. That's how I feel about this AI thing. A lot of people here can have dramatically more efficient sales organizations. You could drive down your cost by 50% and 4x your revenue. Why wouldn't you? You could keep doing it the way you're doing. Look, I have to go home now. I could take a train. I mean, I could, right? Or a horse, they used to. I'd prefer to take a plane. And so that's what I think is happening here. This is about understanding how profound these technology movements are, and understanding the only thing holding you back is a subjective opinion or ideology that you're holding. And I think that's bad business strategy.
That's awesome. Give a hand for Gary, man. That was fucking good. Let's start taking questions from the crowd. If you have questions, just come up to the mic and ask your question so that everybody else can hear. So, yeah.
Yes, do it. Honestly, this is it. I'm going to leave soon, so I know people get timid and shy. Here's the mic. Yeah. Get in this. Hi.
So I do TikTok for the trades, and I know you talk a lot about AI, but TikTok was your thing, like you just said.
Yep.
And I think that what happens as a marketing company, I do organic social media, and that's a lot harder to say, we got this lead directly from here every single time, but it's so important when it comes to overall branding. Yep. And so I'm just curious of
how to justify it to them.
Yeah, how to have that conversation.
I think when I look around a room like this, 9 out of 10 people, if you're doing just organic social, so just to ground this conversation, you're posting on social content to build awareness for your business. You're brand building. It's not as sales oriented. It's not performance oriented. Look, the reality is 9 out of 10 people are going to struggle with that because people want to measure what they're spending money on. And most people don't think about business the way they think about real life. In real life, they may spend money on things that aren't ROI positive, that make them happy, or they know that that's good. but they can't see the direct results immediately. Working out, you may pour a lot of dollars into that. You're not going to see muscles the next day or lose 15, but you know it's right. In business, there's a lot of people that struggle with knowing building brand is right. And when something new, like social media, they might buy billboards and know it's right, even though they don't get direct lead, because that's been around for a while and they can accept that. But making TikToks, they don't understand that yet. I'm empathetic to that. There's two ways, Jen. One, just spend all your time finding the 1 out of 10 instead of trying to convince the 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Number two, you may want to look at yourself and say, hey, I'm tired of justifying this. Maybe I want to bring in media capabilities. And with media and creative, when you're spending money on the ads, not just the organic, you can then start showing them, you got 113 leads from your TikTok this month.
Yeah.
Because you're running ads, which gives you a much better chance than just relying on the organic reach. That's the two ways I think about your world.
Love it. Thank you so
You're welcome.
much. Who's next?
What's your name, my man? Oh, thank you. Thanks, brother. What's your name?
Hey, I'm Jeremiah.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, so you knowing everything you know, and I would just say, if you were down here asking yourself a question, what question would that be?
It's always a tough question because the reality is when I look around the room here, almost everybody on their professional journey is potentially in a different place. Some people want to grow their business 5x for this flip. Other people want to maximize margin for the next couple of years because they want to take cash on the table. So the question I would ask is wherever I was in the life cycle, right, of my career. To me, the thing I would ask me probably based on where I'm at or what is the most universal thing that I think could bring value here is which platforms and what tactics today have the potential to reach the most audience to do business? The answer to that is, I believe that as we sit here today, the two platforms that can lead to the most business are Facebook and LinkedIn for this audience. I think Facebook is incredibly powerful still, and especially for the demo that is buying a lot of things that we're talking about here. If you're perfect or really good at ads and pictures and videos on Facebook, more than Instagram, and know how to run ads, I think that will lead to the most sales. LinkedIn, I think most people here are wildly misunderstanding. We still think of it as like a recruiting tool or where you do your resume, but the way the LinkedIn feed is working like Facebook. And you can target people who are CFOs of Fortune 500 companies, and I can give you the preview. Those are high net worth individuals. They get paid a lot of money to do what they do. You could also make references to being in corporate. So you can make your content very targeted to your media spend in LinkedIn. So that would be the question and the answer.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Hey, Gary.
Connor, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you. So we're in the plumbing industry.
Yes.
And our biggest thing is face-to-face sales.
Yes.
So getting in someone's house, getting dirty, getting sweaty.
Door knocking?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, no.
Okay, no.
Not quite. So
Got it.
they reach out to us, we go to the
Got it.
property, and then
Understood.
we develop a relationship.
Right.
Where do you see AI interfering with that?
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
I see AI enhancing that by it being able to look at Connor, how do you spend your money now to get the lead? Direct mail, outdoor, Facebook, Google, what? How do you spend money?
Facebook, Google, Yelp.
Great. You are wasting an ungodly amount of money in those categories, and of 80 cents on the dollar and 20 cents of the dollar is making all of it work for you. AI scripts are going to be able to analyze that and understand which 20 cents are working and making you spend $1 on that instead of 20 cents.
Would you say that plumbing is an untouchable industry in regards to AI? Because you have to evaluate the problem and physically...
Yeah, I don't think robot plumbers are coming to take your business.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But brother, I think that about most things.
Yeah.
This is why I want 20 hours of AI. Even the question to me is like, not silly, but like, because think about how you asked the question and how I changed it.
Yeah.
You said interfere, and I jumped in naturally and said enhance. You're thinking fucking Terminator 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm thinking you're wasting money on your advertising that AI can make better.
Got it.
Right? So you're going super macro fantasy land, and I'm going to, I want you to make more money in 2024.
Right. Appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got it.
And I just want to add to that question, as somebody who works on AI for plumbing, HVAC industries, that is actually one of the last things that AI can actually replace fundamentally, because as smart as it is, it's only trained on the internet's data. It literally cannot do this, what I'm doing, which is gripping an object with my hand. So if you have to
But I'll jump in and say, AI can also not replace Formula One teams and changing the tire.
Yeah.
It also isn't here yet serving us at restaurants. Like, people use AI and they expand the definition into robots, right? We're talking about scripts that are analyzing the internet and things of that nature. We're not talking about by the way, back to me being in heaven in 900 years, robot plumbers are coming. If anyone doesn't think that's true, they just don't know how the world works. It just might be 212 years from now. My gut's telling me that most of you don't give a crap about it. If it's like, Griffin's not sweating if he knows it's 212 years from now. You know what I mean? But like, the world evolves. Like, think about when the gun was invented. If you're the best swordsman in the world, you're like, God damn it, right? Like, you know, if you own the most horses on Earth at one point, not that long ago, and it's our core transportation, and then the car is invented. Just to remind everybody, 100 years ago, like, you got caught. So Connor's lucky that the robot plumbers are not coming because it's 2024. But Connor Griffin V, who's a Nepo trust fund baby, might get caught. That's how it works.
Okay, Gary, I'm sure you know that there's been a lot of consolidation in our industry, right? So, you know, 9, 10-figure businesses are happening all the time.
Yes.
The top 100 markets are saturated. Lead cost is going through the roof.
Yep.
So how does an independent, you know, use some guerrilla marketing tactics to get through that?
It's a great question, Ken. This is why I'm so passionate about what I do for a living. Somebody asked me a long time ago, like, to really crystallize what I do for a living, and I finally got to the answer. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to be the title of the book I'm working on right now. What I do for a living, which is the answer to your question, is if you're an independent and lead costs are going up with the things that we know about, you have to be the best at day trading attention. So the thing that leads to a lead is having someone's attention to even know what you do, to then call you to plumb or whatever else. So back to my point for a little while ago about TikTok 4 years ago, the answer would have been TikTok. It still might be for a lot of people if they're very extroverted and good at making videos. You've got to find a place where humans have attention, where nobody else is doing it, at a good enough cost for you to be able to get what you need out of it. So, for example, back to the question I asked Connor, for some independents, that might be door-to-door knocking. It might be long-tail Google AdWords. It might be starting a podcast to build brand awareness so that you can leverage it. So there are always things and tactics to be done in contemporary communication. I do believe podcast is still a huge white space to educate people in this sector. I do think TikTok, for the most creative and extroverted operators here, is an opportunity. But to find the diamond in the rough of like an independent plumber or HVAC person who also has charisma for days on video, you're talking about a smaller percentage. Right. On the flip side, a lot of people really know their business. Back to AI, you can work with an AI component to write an incredible mini book that can be for free to show people how to do things at home, or how to know who to hire for HVAC, or how to avoid needing a plumber, because 5 little things you can learn to do yourself that you don't need a plumber for. Now you're providing value for the audience, which builds trust, which makes me want to work with you even more, because I can't do it because it's the 6th thing that I can't do. So back to day trading attention, pre-roll YouTube video ads will crush for this industry. But you have to be good at making the videos and know how to target it and what search terms. So having craft in contemporary marketing is the only way for an independent, because rising costs, when I started running Google AdWords in 2000, everything was 5 and 10 cents a click. There are people, to your point, a lot of this started, the consolidation. PE's interest was there were better operators in this sector using Google AdWords in the mid-2000s to build up their business because they were competing with a lot of locals, as you know, who were doing direct mail and outdoor, and Google was converting it at 30, 40, 50 cents when everybody else was. So there's always an arbitrage. The one I gave, like, for sure, LinkedIn is a massive arbitrage for the high-ticket items, people in the room, even for the day-to-day items. So it's about finding the communication arbitrage.
Yo, Gary, what's up, dude?
It's a pleasure.
How are you doing today?
I'm well.
Good, bro. So, first of all, it's insane to see you in person. I actually don't come to this country a lot, so it's super surreal.
Thank you.
Normally, I'd have 1,000 questions for you, but today I actually don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you, because you've helped me make millions, but at the same time, you've given me perspective to know that nothing really fucking matters. So, I live my life to the best and to the fullest, and you've had a massive part to play, so thank you, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
It's very nice.
Don't know how to follow that.
It's very nice. Thank you, brother.
But jab, jab, right hook, man. Dang, that changed literally our business. We've been doing these community videos where we'll actually highlight specific people in the community. And I want to know, what do you do to take it to the next level?
Well, it's funny you said that. The book I just mentioned, Day Trading Attention, was 6 months ago in my mind called Jab, 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 Left Hook.
Oh, left.
So I wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And the premise was, with your social media content, give, give, give. Like I was talking about 5 ways to not hire a plumber. And on the 5th post, really ask. So find a balance with your content. One of the reasons so many of your companies are not as effective as they can be in social is every post is selfish.
Yep.
Hire us. It's ads. It's all ads. But social, it doesn't cost you a lot to make these ads, so why not put out more value and then occasionally ask? So I called that Jab, 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 Right Hook. The world that I wrote Jab, 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 Right Hook for didn't have TikTok, didn't have LinkedIn, had a different Twitter, had a different Facebook. So I feel like it's time for me to write a new version. So I've been writing for the last year, Jab, 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 Left Hook. The problem is I've gone so nerdy with it. It's like a Bible. It's way deeper. It's like I almost feel like I'm almost bored by my own book because it's really deep. And so I've decided to rebrand it to Day Trading Attention because I think it's a more overall book than even what I wrote with Jab, 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 Right Hook. So the answer to your question of like how to follow it up is for like $14 on Amazon, you'll be able to know all the answers just like 10 years ago. I'm almost done with it. It'll be out in the spring.
Appreciate
and the
you,
good
bro.
news is, you can pirate the book on the internet
You and
free.
I both know that. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't need the 14. I get $1 of the 14 bucks, but like, make sure you read it.
Hey, man, appreciate you.
Gotcha, bro. David.
Ooh. David, do you know my name?
I do. It's on your.
Thank you. I was like, how do you know? ChatGPT. So David, Trio, Heating and Air. We've grown our business really, really fast in the last 18 months, and
put the mic to. Yeah,
we've grown our business really fast in the last 18 months, and one of the things that I'm trying not to lose sight of is the company culture.
Yes.
And I'm really aware, that the 50 people that we have right now are going to build a culture for the next 500 people that are going to come in. And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask is, what are maybe 1 or 2 actionable things that we can do?
I got a lot.
Going back to our businesses, not to lose sight of this and make sure we're actually, doing something to improve the company culture. And if it is something that you in your business is, you have a way to measure it.
Yeah.
When it's working.
I do measure it. I know how it's working. So, David, first of all, thank you for asking that question. So, I run a marketing company called VaynerX. It's a holding company. There's 8 companies, VaynerMedia being the first and the biggest. I have 2,000 employees globally. When I hear someone come up here and talk about culture at 50 employees, it motivates me to no end, because I'm happy for you, because you're a young dude, and the first 100 dictate everything. I do have a way to measure culture. It's called retention. How long do people stay at your company, right? In my industry, advertising agencies, it's like 2.5 years average, and we're like at 8.5 years average, and we're only 14 years old. So we haven't even had that much time to have that kind of average, so I know we're winning. The tactics at 50, which especially if you had hyper growth in 18 months, 50 feels like a lot. How old's the company?
2 years.
Right. So 50 feels like a lot, because 2 seconds ago you were 6 and 9 and 13. But at 50, and this is super important, at 50, the biggest mistake people do is they don't spend one-on-one time with the 50. The number one way to build a great culture is to spend one-on-one time with your employees. And here's a key part of this sentence. Make them feel safe to tell you the truth of what's going well and what's not, and for you to figure out what makes them tick. I have employees that are tick on job title because they're insecure and they want to be a VP. I've got people that their core and only motivation is money. Very common, we all know that. Some is work-life balance. Most are a mix of all three, with different percentages in different way. And I can look at an org chart right now with you. If we flew back together and I put 2,000 faces and names on a screen, you would hit the ground in shock how many I could speak to in detail of what makes them tick on those three categories, right? And I'm at 2,400 in Asia. So you can imagine how good I feel for you. I'm like, bro, it's only 50. Spend the rest of this year. And here's how, and I want everybody to hear this. Everybody here, me included, who's obsessed with what I'm about to say, everyone here wastes multiple hours every day on dumb shit. All of us. And I'm down to like 53 meetings at 15 minutes a pop, and I'm like, talk to my admins, I'm like, in 2024, we gotta go to 7-minute meetings. The amount of 1-hour meetings this serious of a group is having that are actually 30-minute meetings, and you're just filling it in with small talk and like dragging it out and pontificating at the end, is profound. If you at your level analyze your 1-hour meetings, make a bunch of them 30, you've just created 2 15-minute slots to check in and shoot the shit and really get to know those 50. At night, you take 4 real winners, you know who the 16 of those 50 are, and you take 6 of them for dinner. You just start really committing, like a parent, to time with those 50. That tactic, time allocation to make them feel safe to tell the truth. You stink at this, and they don't have to be right. You just want to make them feel safe to tell you the truth of what their ambitions are, what makes them tick. You have to be prepared for that to change. A 25-year-old might want money, but at 32, 7 years from now, they might want work-life balance because they just had their first child. So that's the framework you need to create. Amazing.
And guys, we have 10 more minutes for questions, so if you want to ask your question, make sure you get up in there, because we only have like 10 minutes.
You will be stunned what happens, and stay with it. Lucas.
Gary, I also didn't want to get out of bed as my Bills somehow managed to lose. I went to your Jets. Tough morning.
Thank you for making me tiny bit feel better in a terrible day.
Yeah.
Go ahead, my brother.
Unlike Josh Allen, I'm going to pull an audible on my question here. So, I don't know, have you heard of Celino Barnes by chance?
Of course. I live in New Jersey and New York my whole life.
Sure.
I know it well.
So they're from Buffalo. That's my uncle, Celino.
Amazing.
We're really well known in Buffalo, and I think a lot has to do with that. We are planning to go east throughout the state. Do you think from a brand perspective that there's an advantage there?
Of course.
How much?
Well, there's awareness advantages, right? There's an awareness. Like when I hear Celino Barnes, like I know what that is. That's huge. That's going to make me click on an ad or convert at a higher ratio. That's why you build brands. So I think it could be quite significant. But at some level, that doesn't even matter. That's like, you know what that's like? I'm going to give you a good analogy using sports that I think will resonate with a lot of people. That's like being born with athletic ability, hand-eye coordination, athleticism, size, and speed. Most of those people never are good at sports. So like, you've got an advantage, but you're still gonna have to execute. You're just gonna get more out of your work because there's a brand. You're gonna extract more value than a lot of us that had to start from a zero brand. You understand?
Yes.
You're still gonna have to outflank everybody on whatever you do. You're gonna have the billboard buying, the billboard creative, the remnant TV spot, the actual 30-second video, buying Google AdWords better, but also the copy underneath the headline. It's not only buying the attention properly, it's filling it with the right creative to get people compelled to buy the stuff we all wanna sell. You're just gonna convert better than us because the brand is known.
If you were me, would you leverage that with PI?
With what, my friend?
Going private equity, is this something I should consider leveraging?
Yeah, I mean, look, it all depends. Again, this goes back to an earlier question of like private equity, VCs, debt, credit lines, any financial instruments for all of us has to be predicated on where we're at. I think what scares me about that question is I don't think there's any right answer. I think you have to have a right answer for yourself. I think too many people sell their businesses too early. I think too many people raise capital too early. I think too many people that are old school don't leverage capital early enough. I mean, I can show you 47 different versions of this. I think you got to know yourself and where you're at.
Sure.
It depends on your patience. I mean, I thought I was going to, I, as I sit here today, think I'm going to buy the New York Jets. They're $7 billion. At 34 years old, I was still working in my dad's liquor store making $90,000 a year. One could call me delusional easily. I would respect that. But I knew what I was doing. I knew that I wanted to give back to my parents. I knew that I was honing my skills, and I knew how I was going to play out, or at least I thought at the time, my late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then make a run at it in my 80s. In my mid 40s, starting to get to my late 40s, I'm on track. But when I started VaynerMedia, which again now is a $400 million a year business that I started from scratch, I was already known a little bit because of my Twitter and because of my wine stuff. I could have raised capital, but I didn't. Instead, I was willing to eat crap and work out of a conference room of another company because I didn't need to prove to anybody I had my own office, and that allowed me to keep the equity in my company instead of giving some of it up. I didn't need a fancy chair. I didn't need to fly first class. I ate shit for 4 years to keep my equity. Guess what? That was a really good idea. I don't know you well enough to know which way you should go. So I think that's why that's a tough question.
Awesome. Thank you a lot, Gary.
You gotcha.
And we have time for like 2 more questions. So 2 more questions.
You guys like the eating shit one, huh? Sean.
Yes. Thank you for being here, Gary. This
Happy
is
to be
great.
here. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I have a quick tactical question.
Yes.
For this industry,
yes,
for posting on social platforms,
yes,
how would you think about the balancing act between frequency and quality?
I don't think quantity is at the direct conflict of quality.
Okay.
And I love you for asking this question because it is probably the biggest thing that I've advocated for that has been confusing to a lot of marketing people because we all default into that.
Yep.
Right? Who here is good at cooking? Raise your hand. Great. My intuition is that the people that just raised their hands, if they were required to make 53 meals this week, that all of them would be better than my one meal. Because they have talent and practice, and so they can do it. So what's happening is we've demonized quantity sometimes to quality because it's a saying in our minds, but it's incredibly not true in social. I put out 36 pieces of content a day across 7 different platforms. Now, for the first 7 years of my career making content, I did all of it myself. Today on my personal brand, I have 20 full-time employees doing that, right? But I can tell you right now, especially with AI coming, I could put out 1,000 pieces of content. Right now, that's all I can afford to do. But in the world that we live in, busyness, people not seeing most things, you're not flooding anyone. Most of the content's not being seen by your target. So the way I think about it is as much as you can afford, but actually knowing what good is. So getting good at the craft of the written words, of the audio, of the video, of the pictures.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Words. Thank you, sir.
Final questions, so make it good.
We'll sneak in two. There's
Okay,
two.
let's do
I'll
two.
go fast. I won't be as long-winded. Ben.
Mine's going to be, oh, that was loud. Mine's going to be real quick. My friend's going to be Uncle Ben, so you can call me that too. I just want to say thank you. I'm somebody who's surrounded with a lot of people who are just phenomenally amazing at what they do and just blow it out of the park consistently. And there's been a lot of times where I felt like I don't live up to that or I'm not where I should be or whatever. And there's been so many days where I felt like I couldn't even get out of bed, and your videos were the thing that really helped me just feel like I'm exactly where I need to be and I'm doing what I need to do. And I just, want to say I'm forever grateful to you for that. Like,
thank you, Ben. Thank you, brother.
I also have something for you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. I'm very humbled.
So Gary, I want to kind of bring this all together for everybody here today.
Bring it home, Bri.
2011, you and I spoke in Oslo at Guldhagen with our friends Chris Brogan, Mari Smith, and all that.
Yes.
And one of the things you stressed there was about scaling caring.
Yes, scaling the unscalable.
And caring for people, right?
Like we just said to that gentleman.
And here's the main point. You were saying that a dozen years ago, and most people didn't act on it.
Yes.
We've got about 150 people here who heard you tonight.
Yes.
Can you tell them specifically some of the things you would do today with AI to scale that caring for them?
Thank you, Bri. Look, I think you all heard me talking about what I would do internally with 50 employees. I'll give you one back to scaling caring. Thank you, brother. At the time, what Brian's referencing was a book I wrote it's called The Thank You Economy. And it talks about scaling caring and scaling unscalable things. So I'll give you an example. Everybody here can decide after they hear what I'm about to say, do the following. When you go home, start the process of reaching out to prior customers, people that have already paid you for the thing, and call, email, or text, likely email in order, email, call, text is my gut based on prior customers, and literally reach out to them and thank them for working with you in the past and check in to see how it's been going. And when I say the intent of that is just that, because humans are animals and we can sense things. And if you go into the intent of just doing that, just for the sake of saying thank you, caring, and hope everything's going well, two remarkable things are gonna happen. One, you are gonna feel good. This goes back to your day and cut out an hour and a half of dumb things, spend an hour internally and maybe spend 30 minutes on scaling caring. Two, when you hang up, or when it's obvious that the intent of your outreach was just to check in, that person on the other side is going to be so confused because it's such a rare act that consciously or subconsciously, they will recommend you to a friend or relative in the next year because it is a unfortunately rare act to just do something that nice without any strings attached. I couldn't recommend it enough. And because even without AI, most of you have that data in a computer somewhere. It is absolutely something you can access, and I think it has a profound impact. And again, especially for the people here that don't know me in any shape or form, for us to take 7 or 8 questions, and for 2 of them to be young men who just wanted to come here and say thank you. Nothing else. That's all it was. You saw it. I saw it. I'm very humbled. That's because the intent of 90% of the content I put out in the world is to just leave a positive mark on the world the way my parents left a positive mark on me. And 10% of it is buy my dad's wine, check out my agency, And I think there's something there, and I will continue to scream it from the top of my mountains for the rest of my career. And I really appreciate being with all of you this afternoon.
Thank you, Gary. Everybody give it up for Gary, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.